elevate respiratory. So, Donna and Michelle and Alicia, hi, how are you guys?
Hi.
Hi. Doing good. How are you?
I'm awesome. So, each of you guys can, Donna, you can go first. You can introduce yourself and we'll start.
I am Donna Reynolds. I am an ED nurse and ED manager currently. Long history of critical care, all that nonsense in the background. Have a huge appreciation for respiratory therapists. I was a preemie and have struggled with asthma my whole life. It's atypical. It took me forever to get it diagnosed. And so respiratory therapists honestly have been my heroes. I'm gonna try not to cry. I have had people work with me to try to find ways to make my breathing better or find new alternatives. We've done Google searches, everything else to improve my life that we can then use to impact patients. And so they in my picture they wear capes and halos. So I'm very, very proud of the respiratory therapists.
Thank you, Donna.
And Michelle and Alicia.
I'm Michelle, and I'm a respiratory therapist. I work at the bedside, which I love, and I hope to never change. I am a lead, but that's because I like bossing people around. I really enjoy teaching. I like and learning from other people, and it gives us the opportunity to do that kind of thing.
And Alicia.
I'm Alicia. I am actually an RT manager. I work bedside for many years, have a great appreciation for what the bedside therapists do. Really kind of miss it sometimes. I still get the opportunity.
She is my manager, and I have to tell you that don't tell her, but she's my favorite.
So I heard that Donna, your sister is Michelle, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so how did y'all start this company, this nonprofit for respiratory therapists? Tell me more about that.
Alicia and I were discussing our upcoming skills fair, and we were both very interested in being able to provide employees with CEUs. And we were trying to figure out our skills fair is very involved and it feels more detail oriented, much more detail oriented than any conference I've ever been to. And so we were talking about how can we provide CEUs in a fashion like our skills fair. And then we started researching and looking at the AARC guidelines, and it was a lot more reasonably priced to do this as a nonprofit than as a for-profit. And nobody has any interest in starting a business, honestly. We just wanted to be able to provide CEUs and conquer the world through the love of respiratory therapy.
And to be honest, really the role that we have within our department goes much beyond just your typical respiratory therapist. So we wanted to do some CEUs in things that could benefit respiratory therapists, but kind of was outside of the box of what regular respiratory was. And the skills fair was a perfect opportunity to bring some of those topics out that we could discuss and go over.
My team often refers to our respiratory therapist as the respa nurse, and some respiratory therapists are offended by that. I don't ever want to take away from the specialness of respiratory, but they start IVs, they do lab collections, they help with splints. They really are a second licensed person in the ED. They fulfill a lot of roles. A lot of times they are the ones that know the processes when the nurses don't know them, and so it's a very rewarding. It's very awesome to see how far they've expanded this role and gone with this. It's not for everyone, but those who embrace it just make it magic. It's truly the glue that holds the department together some days.
So you're saying that you have respiratory who are also nurses, or are
No.
they?
No, we have expanded kind of the role of what respiratory does here. We are critical care practitioners. So we know critical care. It is my philosophy that every patient that comes through the doors is a respiratory patient until proven otherwise. And that proven otherwise may be when they walk out the door. But just because they come in complaining of like a toothache or something like that doesn't mean that they are not going to need our services.
I don't know, Annmarie, I don't know if we have explained well. We all work at freestanding emergency rooms. We're all within one system, but we work at freestanding ERs. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have one respiratory therapist per shift dedicated to each 12-bed ER.
Wow.
So, if you just sat and waited for something respiratory to happen, no one is going to really stay engaged and focused on patient care. So instead, we expanded the scope of what we do, and we're involved in absolutely everything.
Yes.
Wow, that is interesting. I've never heard that before because I know like respiratory is like one specialty and you guys expanded the care. How did you guys do
We
that?
specialize the specialty.
Hospital support.
Yes.
Very much hospital support. And really, the role of respiratory therapists, from what you see or what you think about traditionally, we do have through the AARC some things that are written into our license, like starting peripheral IVs. That is actually written into our scope of practice. So we just look to see where is it that we can step in and help out. And really, truly, if you talk to the therapists that work here, it's not that we just start the IVs and we draw the draw the blood. We know those lab values. We know what those lab values mean. We are very much more, I would say, we're specialists. When it comes time for a respiratory patient to be here, we are the specialists, but we do more of what I'd consider total patient care.
Yeah. Because, sometimes maybe patient comes in, they've got belly pain. That's not necessarily respiratory, right? But I'm starting an IV. I'm in the room. I'm hearing the story. I'm hearing what's going on. I'm starting the IV. I'm doing the thing. Maybe there's something for me to do respiratory. Maybe there's not. But through that practice and being in that room, then whenever I get a patient who comes in, they're complaining of shortness of breath, I've started giving them a breathing treatment. I'm starting a line on them. Nurses are busy. These ERs are hopping. Nurses are busy. Things are going on. I'm starting an IV because I'm like, oh no, something's going on here. And then, I go to the doc and I'm like, hey, we need blood work. We start getting blood work done. We get an EKG. We get a chest x-ray done. We get an EKG done, whatever we feel like is necessary. The doc will typically listen to our suggestion, come look at the patient, give our orders. Then I'm looking for, okay, on that chest x-ray, do I see a pneumonia maybe? On the white count, is it elevated? Or, what's going on? Where's my picture? Do I need a BMP? Do they have pitting edema? Is their blood pressure high? Like, what's going on? And so we're, total patient care.
Even on like abdominal pain, like she was talking about, and with nausea and vomiting, we'll do EKGs. We not only know the EKGs, but we know if they have a prolonged QT, then we're probably going to have to tell the physician, don't be ordering the Zofran. We need the Benadryl and Reglan.
Yeah.
So we actually have kind of a
wide
knowledge.
So is it because you guys don't have like the bigger hospitals? You have freestanding ERs. So like how does that work?
We're part of a big hospital system.
Okay.
It's because our hospitals are so full that they found this model. Where did they find the model, Donna? Ohio?
I think so. Cardinal Glennon in St. Louis has a pediatric version of this, but I think it was Ohio.
Yeah, where they initially saw the model and they went and looked at it and they were like, we want to do that in the state of Oklahoma. Our main hospital, which I don't want to get too much into our hospital because we're not, Elevate Respiratory Care is not part of this hospital. Are supported. They've partnered with us for Breath of Life Award. Yeah, partnered. But we're not really affiliated with the hospital. Our main location is in a downtown area, which is kind of hard to get to, and traffic and all the other things. And so initially whenever we started, they said, we want to bring care to the communities. And we work for a faith-based or nonprofit organization, which is a true charitable organization. And they said, we feel like God has led us to go to the community because it's hard for all of our communities in the surrounding area to get to us.
Okay, so it's like access, like increasing the
Mm-hmm.
access.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So how long have you guys started the nonprofit? Like, how long has it been?
March 3rd, 2025.
Okay, so it's like very recent. So, like, what was the process of starting a nonprofit? Like, what is that process like?
Well, it's not as hard as what you might think. After we had teased about starting a nonprofit, I was like, but really? And Cherie and Alicia was like, no, but really? And like she said, we are all gas, no brakes. So the next thing was filing with the state, which was a matter of paperwork and something that you actually can do yourself. People will charge you a lot of money to do it, but we did it ourselves. And then we filed for our 1C3 tax exempt status with the federal. That's more paperwork, more intense paperwork, but doable. But the process of filing for the licensure was like $25 in the state of Oklahoma. It was very simple. Yeah.
So, what roles do you have inside the nonprofit?
I'm not just a member, I'm the president.
Okay, president. Okay,
Madam President.
Vice President
I
Alicia.
am the strategic coordinator.
Yes.
okay. And then,
She's
like,
the get it done.
okay. So, what are your like goals for your nonprofit? This is like the first year, the first couple of months. What are your goals that you want to accomplish in like next year or
The
beyond?
things I've seen us partner with is an appreciation for respiratory. Several TikToks have been created, which are hilarious. We have some princesses and some heroes and other things that come to the rescue. We've been able to send care packages to other organizations that are either struggling or just need a little pat on the back of, hey, you guys really are doing a great job.
And thank you. Thank you for doing that great
Yes,
job.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. It's created a lot of conversation within our own organization of, wait a minute, this is a cool idea. And so that's been really awesome. But I'll let them speak a lot more to the things that they've initiated and some of the things that have been done.
Go get him,
Yeah.
Tiger. You're the gas.
Well, our
Oh,
mission is to advocate, educate, and celebrate respiratory therapists. I'm very passionate about education. You can't stay in the field for any length of time and things aren't always changing. So, the more you know, the better you're going to be able to, and the safer it's going to be for patients that come in.
mm.
This really kind of started off on educating, and it's kind of grown from there. That was the initial start point. Um, we are looking at doing some webinars during respiratory care week that we're going to send out to whatever hospital wants to get some free CEUs for their therapists.
We're back.
Right.
Yeah. And we also advocating for the profession, I feel like is very important. There are a lot of people that are just a little bit maybe frustrated with some of the things that they see within the field, like being short staffed, being chronically short staffed. But
No way to move away from the bedside.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no way to move away from the bedside. But there are initiatives out there. Now, we are not any kind of
We're just respiratory
we're just
therapists who like other respiratory therapists and
yeah.
want to do nice things.
But when we
Mhm.
find those things out there that are up for legislation that really support respiratory therapists, we want to get that out there because we are right now a fragmented army, but we
Yes.
could be a powerful army
Yes.
if we come together.
Yes.
Everybody needs to breathe.
Yeah.
And our passion is that we unite, that we don't divide.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to us that we see the ER as we are the ER. It's not, did somebody see respiratory? Who is the respiratory therapist? Who's the nurse? Who's the this? It's, this is my team. These are my heroes for today. And so we really have been able to engage people who came from very traditional roles and really weren't excited about the idea of, you want me to touch a patient's body fluids? I don't go below the neck, sorry.
That's me. 12th ribbon up. Thank you. Yeah. But in the last 14 or so years, my perspective has changed. Some
And having
mostly.
people really become engaged and become parts of the department that are so integral. The staff are so excited when they come in. We have a particular guy at night that is like Norm at Cheers when he comes in the door.
Yeah.
They yell out his name as he comes in. And he began as a very reserved, I'm not comfortable in this zone. And he has just grown and blossomed. And that's been beautiful to see. The staff appreciate him not only for his respiratory abilities, but for all the other things that he brings to the table, all the other ideas that he brings to the table. It's a very collaborative work environment. And we really promote that. I don't ever want someone to say, well, that's just respiratory. God help you. Going
No
to be a
such
bad
thing.
day for you if you say that.
I once had a vice president who truly made me believe that there is no such thing as ancillary. We only have exceptional. All of our staff is exceptional. And so, whereas in a traditional hospital setting, I felt like there was maybe a hierarchy, I feel like we are one team here. But getting back to goals, one of the things that we do is we send appreciation gifts to different respiratory therapists. Usually somebody will reach out, and I made a TikTok and it got a little wild there for a minute. I had to turn comments off because I was like, oh my gosh, sent my husband to the mailbox 4 times. I thought he was going to divorce me because it didn't go
No,
easy.
no.
And I was like, I promise I know how to mail things, okay? But there was a lot, and it was a lot going on. So, but one of the things that we want to do is help combat that burnout. I want you to know that your work is so important. Your work is so important. And if nobody else said thank you today, I want to tell you thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome because on other hospitals, respiratory is like the unseen hero. Like it's like we show up with the bat signal and
We're
then
firemen.
we
Yeah.
dip out.
And then we fade out into the night. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do a little bit appreciation too. I have these Hope in a Box kits, and they include self care items because I have a history. Like I wrote a book about burnout in healthcare, and it was just like the pandemic was just a weird
Pandemic-y.
time.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
such a weird. So how did you guys like make it through the pandemic?
I will be honest and say that the pandemic shook me up a little bit because I was totally used to having all these tools in my pocket. And if you came in short of breath, by gosh, I could figure out a way most of the time to make you better. And it was not like that with COVID.
I used to tell people, I'm respiratory. By the time I leave the room, you're going to either be feeling better or be breathing easier or you'll be dead. But it wasn't funny. I mean, suddenly that wasn't funny. I'm very used to winning. I'm very used to being, I'm assert aggressive is what we call me. I'm an assert aggressive person. And so, yeah. And
We love assert aggressive, by the way.
mm-hmm,
All
Okay.
of
yes,
us are
yeah,
pretty much assert aggressive.
very.
We beg for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah. Okay.
But we
Well,
fix it.
that's how you like break down walls and have like a better future for respiratory because I know that was not going to be the last pandemic or the last crisis. So,
No.
how do you feel like we are preparing for another crisis? Like if it comes to like you guys are in leadership, like how would you prepare for a next crisis?
I think one of the first things would be the emotional support the staff need. I think ensuring that we have that safety because I think so much of that was lost, and we had so many people walk away because they just couldn't take it anymore and there was no outlet. We were all overwhelmed at the time. But I think during the pandemic, we came together as a team because we wanted to solve the problems. You know, there were, I do recall times that both Michelle and Alicia had researched how do we make this? What are the options? You know, do we create an intubation, a plexiglass box, so that when we're intubating, we have less exposure to body fluids? You know, what can we do to make this better? What are the ways that we can help treat these patients? Are they better on a CPAP? Do they need to be intubated? Do we need to do high flow? You know, what's the best option for them? And it really came to a point that there was a lot of collaboration between nursing and doctors and respiratory, because this was a whole picture, a very complex picture, and it required everyone to come to the table. So I think moving forward, we could use some of those tools on how it changed our dynamics. But for me, first and foremost, it would be the emotional safety and security of the staff, because there are wounds that'll never heal from that. You know, a lot of people saw people die alone, or felt very inept because they had used their toolkit and nothing worked. And
Yes.
so I think that for me is the biggest one, walking away from it.
I worked 5 days a week during the pandemic. I worked in a freestanding ER, but I also had a PRN job in an LTAC that I had before the pandemic. And I didn't feel like I could travel. I didn't feel like I could walk away. I didn't need that PRN job anymore. But how do you walk away in the middle of a respiratory pandemic when there's nobody? Those people, you feel a loyalty to those patients, you know, and very frustrating and very disappointing when, like I said, we're used to winning. As a respiratory therapist, that COVID, you would be on the right track. Your patient would be making progress. And then you'd come in the next day and they passed in the night, blood clot, pneumo, and that was extremely hard. I started a garden in my closet. I bought some grow lights and some seeds and some soil, and I started a garden in my closet, and because I needed to see life. I needed to see something making progress. And the first batch didn't work, and I learned that I had to put a fan on them because in order
You
for
needed
things to be
air.
strong. No, not just air, but in order for things to be strong, they have to have resilience. So it needed that wind, so that they could be resilient and strong. You know, and then I bought a little Amazon $100 greenhouse that I put up in my backyard, and I transferred my little babies out there, and I just needed to see growth and
Life.
beauty in life. Yeah, yeah.
What about
So
you,
that was a big
Alicia?
way.
As far as what do I see needing to
Like
happen
how,
if we have.
yeah, if we have like another crisis, like how would you prepare?
I think Donna is spot on when she says we need to make sure that we emotionally support the staff. I know during COVID, a lot of people went and traveled, so everybody was chronically short staffed. So a lot of people worked a lot of extra days. I will say, and I'm not sure exactly how it is every place else, but because we are freestanding ERs, the respiratory therapist where we worked stood up and said, I will be the first person in the room. All the nurses, everybody else, stay out. I will be the one to go in and assess them. We do have some very brave, dedicated respiratory therapists here, but that does not mean that it didn't take an emotional toll on them as well.
I think part of traveling was that people felt very undervalued. And so they didn't feel a connection. And if I'm going to be cannon fodder, if you're just going to throw me out there and let me get sick, then I'm going to leave something for my family and I'm going to travel, but, make some money. I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel unsupported. I don't want to make it sound like I work in a nirvana. Okay. We got our problems. but I never felt unappreciated. I've always felt, and this is weird for me to say this because I'm not a person who enjoys people with hard soled shoes, okay? If you're not wearing a pair of Hokas or Crocs or something, I don't have time, okay? I can't talk to those people because I'm obviously inappropriate. I work in an ER. But I believe in the administration. Oof. And I do believe that my administrators could not sleep at night. And I do believe that they tried to keep me safe. Sorry, it makes me emotional. But I do. I believe that they tried to keep me safe.
Yeah. And I'm excuse me, I'm really glad that you guys had that teamwork aspect of
I know it's rare. I know it is
yeah.
a unicorn.
Yeah. Like that is like something to hold on to cuz
It's more rare
even
than the hypoxic drive.
with even without a pandemic, I feel like we're still like on edge,
Yes.
and I feel
Mhm.
like we are still trying to figure out ourselves. So like as you guys started a whole new mission, a whole nonprofit, like how do you see other people around you dealing with the things that are going on in the world? Like do you are you raising like a hand to them or are they supporting themselves on their own? Like, how do you see people around you in your space reacting?
I think we support them, honestly. I think
Mhm.
individually, those that we encounter on a day to day basis, I think the three of us are very sensitive to how do we lift them up, what's going on, the different nuances. But I think most importantly, through the organization, we've been able to share joy with other places who feel underappreciated. Even some silly little TikTok that's just being silly is bringing a laugh to their face because we all know who the unsung hero is. The nurse may call you and tell you this patient needs an albuterol treatment, but they've got a BNP of 3,000, and you're like, sure, albuterol's never killed anybody. We'll give this.
I love a nurse who knows what a cardiac wheeze is and can identify it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And so I think that sharing joy as well as the advocacy is such an important part of what we do, showing the appreciation again and again and again. I can't tell you my own personal story, how many times they've saved my life. They saved my sanity because I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And they just kept working. They worked alongside me. They listened to me. They researched for me and advocated for me. And so
Donna's
not
come up
only
with some things that we use in the emergency room. Like Donna found in during this kind of research, Donna found where you can use KT tape, sports tape, to support an asthmatic's back muscles because they become so sore, they're tender to the touch. And having Donna as my sister and be such a severe asthmatic has really opened my eyes to my patients and taught me about patient care. They'll come in and I ask for Toradol because I know that the doc's not going to give them anything for pain that's going to knock out their respiratory drive,
Respiratory. Yeah.
but they hurt so bad. So Toradol doesn't knock out your respiratory drive and it helps to alleviate that. Or I will go and get KT tape and which we keep on hand for them, not formulary, just a side
might
thing
be in an
that
office
might
somewhere.
happen. Yeah, no administrators were harmed in the making of this podcast. And show them what I'm talking about. You know, you can look up on YouTube KT tape and asthmatic, and it's almost like like yeah, from their shoulder down their shoulder blade into their side, right there where they hurt so bad. And they can have that muscle support. And we all know that when you're more relaxed, your airways are more relaxed. So having Donna, we're so off topic. Having Donna in our group and in the respiratory care, Elevate Respiratory Care nonprofit, and in my life has made me a better therapist. And it brings a different viewpoint to the nonprofit. You know, it helps us to remember this isn't just respiratory. Like we said, everybody needs to breathe.
Yeah. And I am actually studying for my asthma educator
Yeah.
credential right now.
Yeah. Good
So
job.
that is like my mom has asthma and my it runs in the family. So I just wanted to educate because through my research 40 to 50% of asthmatics, they're uncontrolled.
Yes.
So that's a really big number. And I want to do my part to educate and use my own little spin on education because I don't know, I do stand up sometimes and I sing
You're so talented.
and I paint as well. So I want to use like my gifts and talents to help save lives in a different aspect, not just on the at the bedside, but also during media and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So you guys, like how are you guys recruiting for your nonprofit? Do you need more people or I don't know.
Every respiratory therapist. We need every respiratory therapist. I want them all. I want every one of them.
We would love to see as many people that want to get involved as possible because, quite honestly, right now we are self funded. So this comes out of our own pocket.
I have 3D printers. I make things. Donna is a fantastic financial supporter. Alicia is extremely creative. You know, Timu is our best friend.
Mhm.
We also, through Michelle, some of the things that she's done is create fidget toys. So if we have someone who's anxious and they're having a hard time doing box breathing or some of the other things that we're working with them on, they can play with that fidget. She's created all kinds, round ones, square ones, rectangular ones, ones that have pain pressure points and different things that people from all over this building come looking for. Hey, look, do you have one of those little things? I've got somebody that needs something. Sometimes it's a round ball that's a maze with a marble in it or a ball
I
bearing
bought
or
those
whatever it
too.
is.
I bought the maze ones, but Alicia, Donna and I are, and Alicia is the most polite person in the
Yes,
entire world, and
yes,
she never
yes.
interrupts. You were
That's
saying, ma'am?
fine.
Probably not true.
That is a-okay. And I want to leave you guys with like you want people to be appreciated, but I appreciate you guys and
Thank you.
I appreciate all of the things that you do behind the scenes and on social media. And I just wanted to highlight you guys because respiratory is a small field, but we are like really spread apart. And sometimes we lose
We are
focus.
an army. We are
Yeah.
powerful. We don't know that yet.
Right.
I think it's an isolated army though. I think
Yeah.
to your speaking, I have one respiratory therapist in my campus for 12 beds with 3 to 4 nurses and one provider. And so that one respiratory therapist may have 2 patients who are battling breathing or have some issue going on that we require their attention for. And they're the only expert in the building. You know, it's not like your traditional hospital system where you can call CCU and get someone sent down. You're it, baby. And sometimes if the doc can't provide the care needed, you're the one that has to step in and make that decision. And so they really, really are a special breed within our organization and the way that this model works. But we want to celebrate everyone. Those people who work in just the ICU or just the ER or just do nebs on the floor, whatever, is you make an impact in that patient's life.
Floor therapy is actually harder than ICU. You don't have bells and whistles. You have to be very
Mhm.
attentive.
Yeah.
But I think you guys also have the ability to help that patient focus. I've seen several of you take the time to stop and sit with a patient and help them to get their breathing under control. You're very controlled in your environment. And the nurses running around going, what are you talking about? You know, we're off into, no, we got to get labs. We got to get something else. And it's the therapist who has taken that time, that initiative to sit with them and make that impact. It's the therapist who's looked up, where can you buy a nebulizer because your baby needs a
Oh,
new
yeah.
one. It's
Yeah.
the therapist who has looked for different resources and provided those to the patient. And so that's such a special niche that nurses just don't get. And so I think that watching them has been very admirable and has helped me expand my boundaries and to look for other opportunities and how can I serve our community and what can we do. But you guys are so isolated. It's often, you know, you're the one person for that area. You may get to leave, you may not get to leave, And so I think it is very lonely sometimes in that role, and you become very cynical or feel very unsupported. And so that's really what our goal is to make sure that everyone knows. We don't only support ER respiratory therapists, we celebrate all of them. Everyone brings their own gift to the table, and we want to make sure that they see that and that we celebrate them in that.
We want a chapter in every state. We want a, state, region,
Yes.
town, hospital,
Yes.
ditch, corner, whatever. I want every respiratory therapist
Yes.
involved.
Yes.
I do. Yeah.
So how
Because
does it,
honestly, we do know how many times every respiratory therapist, no matter where they work, they have sacrificed time with their family. They have sacrificed their own health, especially during the pandemic. They have sacrificed those lunch breaks and the dinner breaks and
Holidays with your
family. We
Bathroom
know
breaks.
bathroom breaks, yes. We know how much of a sacrifice that every RT that's out there has had in their life. And we just want to say, we see you and we thank you.
And I have to say this, respiratory is not off. I don't think the majority of respiratory therapists are good at blowing their own horn, tooting their own horn.
Mhm.
I think that we are so used to coming in and waving our cape and fixing it and back out, that whenever someone says, "Oh my gosh, who was that masked man, woman, child, creature?" There's nobody around to say, "That was respiratory. I went to school to specialize in your lung. I'm here to tell you all about," you know what I mean? We just don't really toot our own horn. And I would like to help.
But we all know whenever something's going down, what's the first thing they yell for?
Where's
Where's
respiratory?
respiratory?
Yes, 100%.
It's like
Bring
I'm
the
not
albuterol.
here. It's like
I'm
I'm
sorry,
not
that's
here.
my hospital joke. When I worked traditional bedside, we would order, I don't know how many times I would come in, and the nurse would just demand that a patient have an albuterol treatment in the middle of the night for something completely unrelated. They've got toe pain, but somehow albuterol is going to make it work. And so that's our big
Smooth
joke.
muscle of the
Albuterol
toe
cures everything. Yes.
is a
Yes.
thing.
So how do other RTs get involved? Like how do they find you?
Well, we have on our website where you can fill out a form and we will get back with you.
Within 48 hours, typically.
And
ElevateRespiratoryCare.com or .org. Both of those are us.
Okay. And then your CEUs, like how does that work? Like is it like a monthly subscription or how do you get like CEUs?
Our goal is to not have to ever charge a respiratory therapist. And we have respiratory therapists who say, "I would like to donate. How do I buy this? Or how do I buy that?" when they see something on TikTok. And I tell them, "You just have to give me time to get more, because I will not sell the things that I give to the respiratory therapist. It won't happen." We do want to create a gift shop so that that would be apart from things that we give out to the respiratory therapist, so that we can financially support this. If physicians, if nurses like Donna, want to donate, we are a tax exempt nonprofit, but our goal is not to charge. So our goal is to have webinar for the respiratory care week. So far, what we've able to do is we were able to sponsor the CEUs and conference or symposium for SSM in June. It was when we did that. And our goal is to be able to do more of that, to do those things. But then when TikTok took off, it kind of went national wildfire. Bam, It was just like a little Oklahoma thing, and then suddenly people were like, "What? What is that? I want that!" And so it kind of went national real fast and unexpectedly. And that's when Alicia said, "We should do webinars," and we started looking at how to do that. So we don't have a webinar available yet. It is our plan. And the answer to the charge would be hopefully nothing. If we do have to charge people, it would be minimal because it would be to cover costs. If it came to that.
Our goal, though, is that the things we give out and the webinars we do, you get through sweat equity of being a respiratory therapist.
That's right.
Okay. So that's the requirement. Be
Yes.
an RT.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be an RT.
Awesome. So thank
Nurses
you.
can also support, but
Nurses are always welcome. They share snacks. We share snacks. We love nurses.
Yes, all a part of the team.
That's right.
We're
Couldn't
one
do it
part
without
of the
them.
team. And so I want to thank you ladies for spending some time with me. Is there anything else you want to leave with the audience? You guys can go like one at a time. I'll start with you, Donna.
gosh. Thank you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. From the time I was born until now. Thank you for working with me. Thank you for working alongside me. Thank you for teaching me. One of us might be stubborn and require a lot of education, but thank you for teaching me new and innovative ways to care for patients. Thank you for teaching me patience to take care of patients, and for being amazing role models.
Thank you. And
You're up next.
Michelle,
So I won't
or
interrupt you.
one of you guys.
I just want to say thank you to all the respiratory therapists out there that have put their time and dedication in making this the safest, best experience for the patients, and for just dedicating yourself to that. I really appreciate everything you do.
Yes.
I'm just a go respiratory. Yeah.
We are a little cheerleading team for this. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for spending time with me and sharing your stories.
Thank you for having us.
You are so welcome, and I can't wait to collaborate with you guys in the future. And I can teach something too about burnout on your platform, because I give presentations. And yeah, so thank you so much. And this is
That's
like
exciting.
a budding relationship, and
Yes.
how to connect with others, because I believe in, like, when we come together, we are stronger when we're coming together.
100%.
As you said, Michelle, we are an army,
Yes.
and that's what it takes to break down barriers and have
Change
a
the
better
world.
future.
That's right.
So awesome. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna close out the podcast, and
Okay.
before you end, I'm gonna stop the recording, and then we're gonna see how long it takes to upload.